RightCapital is primarily a cash flow based system, which basically means that as we run projections, the program is trying to account for every single dollar. This is contrasted to a goals-based projection system, which only looks at if you're saving enough to accomplish a goal, whether or not you have enough to save. To find the detailed cash flows, you can navigate to the Retirement tab at the top. Within this tab, you'll select Cash Flows, which is the Tier 2 tab. Within Cash Flows, there are 5 different subtabs: Maps, Summary, Net Worth, Invested Asset, and Accounts. Here we'll walk through each one and the key features within each. The Maps tab provides 2 views of your overall cash flows. The first view that you have in Maps is the waterfall view. The waterfall view is read from left to right, with income on the left in green and expenses on the right, as shown by its high-level categories. This is a great visual way to see where your expenses are and how much they're taking up of your income. At the very bottom, you'll be able to see for the particular year whether you have a cash flow surplus, which means you have more income than expenses, or if you have a cash flow deficit, which means you have more expenses than income. Being a cash flow based system, RightCapital will then determine what to do with either the surplus or the deficit. The surplus has 2 options available. The first option is to just spend it, which means that cash flow surplus is no longer included in the plan. You're assumed to have spent it. You could also assume to save it, in which case RightCapital will save it to a taxable account. If there's a deficit, meaning you have more expenses than income, RightCapital, being a cash flow based system, will generate the income needed from your assets, your investment accounts, in order to cover that deficit. And I'll show you what that looks like. So in this current year, what this is saying is you have $64,000 in cash flow surplus. And in this year, it's assuming you spend that $64,000 above and beyond what you're already spending in the projection. Fast forward to the year 2044, for example, and in this year, you can see at the bottom, it says net cash flow, and there's a negative number of $101,000. That means in this year, there's a deficit. You had $101,000 more in expenses than you had income. In this particular year, RightCapital will pull $101,000 from assets to cover those expenses. Fast forward again to the year 2052, and you'll see that there's a large cash flow surplus. And in this case, the cash flow was saved, meaning it was transferred or saved to a taxable account. Now within the waterfall view, you'll notice I was able to navigate between years by using this timeline at the top of the chart, where you can scroll over and see any year into the future. The second view within Maps is the breakdown view, where you can see total inflows and total outflows and the different categories that fall under each one. Within this view, you can also use these carets below each item when present to see more details. So when we click on the Social Security drop-down, you'll be able to see the different Social Security benefits that are used for the year 2061. Now a more detailed view is the summary view. The summary view provides a very detailed look at what is going on behind the scenes. As a general layout, you have your year and your age on the left. You have cash inflows on the left, then cash outflows, and then the cash flow surplus and deficit, as well as what is happening to that cash flow surplus and deficit. Starting on the left, the income flows. And as a note, if you see a header that is underlined, you can click on that header, which will give you more details as to what goes into that particular column. So here on the income inflows, you can see it's comprised of salary, self-employment, and Social Security. On the right-hand side, you'll be able to see a scroll bar where you can scroll down and see all the different years that are projected out. On the top of the table, you'll be able to see where you are in the navigation. So we clicked on income, and now you can see that we're on the income inflows, which is a subcomponent of summary. Well, now we can click back on the summary, which takes us back to the overall view. If clicking through to summary, we decide to also click on Social Security, you'll see that pops up on the high level tab. And again, we can either click on income inflows to navigate to the previous page, or click on summary to navigate all the way back. A great feature located in the summary, net worth, invested asset, and accounts tab is the download button. Located on the top right, this button allows you to download whatever table you are viewing to Excel. This way, if you want to manipulate it in your own calculations, you have all of the data. The net worth tab functions largely like the summary tab. You'll be able to change which plan you're viewing at the top, as well as scroll through and see high level your total net worth by high level asset class. The invested asset tab provides a high level view of your invested asset calculation. Here's a great place to see your beginning balance, what we have planned for you to save and by account, as well as what employer matching scheme and how much they plan on contributing in the plan. You can also view plan distributions, net cash flows, and also portfolio return. The invested asset category also includes the estimated portfolio return based off a straight line for the total assets. Finally, the accounts tab includes a more detailed projection of what's going on an account by account basis. Within here, you'll be able to click into each header and see a detailed projection of each account. At the top of the table, there's a drop-down which includes several different options. You can view this table by ending account balance, by additions to accounts, by required minimum distributions calculated for each account, by the withdrawals from each account, and then finally by the net cash flow for the account, which nets out the additions to the accounts and the withdrawals from the accounts. Each of these categories can really provide an in-depth view of what's going on with each account and what goes into each balance. That provides a high-level summary of what's going on in the Cash Flows tab. It's a great tab with a lot of information. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.